Squatters are taking over houses all over the country. It's really getting out of hand. In this video, I'm going to discuss two of the craziest squatter stories I've seen, as well as two states that are finally putting laws in place to eliminate squatter rights. 95% of you said squatters do not deserve rights, so you know I had to make this video. I'm also going to provide some specific steps you can take to prevent squatters from taking over your property, and I want you to share it with every single homeowner you know, so make sure you stay till the end for that. But first, I need you to hit that subscribe button. If you want to get better at real estate investing, you have to make sure that you're following this channel. Also, make sure you go to the description of this video. I have a bunch of resources that help you get started in real estate investing. So we're going to start off with a clip from my hometown, New York City. Let's jump right into it.
I may end up in handcuffs today if this man shows up here and says that I have illegally evicted him. I said to them, let him take me to court the way I've been told to take him to court. But today, I'm not leaving my house. So why is it that I have to leave and he doesn't have to leave?
Because technically he can't be kicked out. We need to go to court.
They consider this a landlord-tenant issue. And by law, it has to be handled through the housing court, not with police.
So Adele, you're getting arrested right now?
I'm being arrested.
For what?
For being in my own home.
And where's your lease?
She's fighting the house. It's not her house anymore.
My deed is current and legal.
Arrested for unlawful eviction.
So this woman is in the process of selling her parents' home that they left to her after they died in Flushing, Queens, and it's being stolen from her by these squatters. Now I want you to think, how would you feel if this was you? How would you feel if your parents left you a home and someone else is just taking it over? This is just absolutely ridiculous that they can allow this to happen. So the squatter mentioned here that it's no longer her house. And in another clip, he claimed that he had a lease, but he didn't actually show it to a reporter. And he said that the owner needs to take him to court. Unfortunately, he's right, and I'm going to explain why. It takes 30 days of occupancy for a squatter to be considered a legal tenant in New York City. This means that the rightful owner cannot legally lock them out, move their belongings, or cut off the lights according to the state law. So basically what they're saying is that the law enables these thieves to take over the properties of innocent people. I couldn't believe that there were laws like this when I was doing my research for this video. And I became very curious about how this squatter thing started and where it came from. And I know you're asking yourself the same question right now. You're asking yourself the same thing right now. In the 1800s, the U.S. expanded rapidly to the west. The Homestead Act, which was passed in 1862, allowed settlers to claim 160 acres of land for free. There were just a few rules, though. They had to build a house, and they had to grow crops on that property for 5 years in order to get the deed for that property. Another important factor was the completion of the first Transcontinental Railroad in 1869. The railroad led to much more rapid western migration and also facilitated economic development. So at this time, there were a bunch of people heading west, they were getting land, and all was great, but it did not necessarily work out as planned. So many of these homesteaders didn't have experience with farming, they didn't have experience with the climates that were new from the ones they came from, and many of them actually ended up abandoning the land, abandoning the properties altogether before that 5-year requirement to get the deed to that property. So let's talk about another crazy squatter situation. And as a reminder, make sure you stay until the end. I'm going to show you how to protect yourself and also those you know who are homeowners from squatters. So this next case is in Georgia. Let's check it out.
Basically, these people came in Friday, broke in my house, had a U-Haul, moved all this stuff in.
Paul Callan says he was away caring for his sick wife when he swung by his vacant rental house. He discovered it was no longer vacant. He says at least 3 people are now living here illegally.
This is probably not the first time they've done this.
He told me he inherited the house from his beloved father, who died of cancer 3 years ago. He spent thousands renovating the house himself as a rental property for government-subsidized tenants. He put this ad online and is convinced that's how the squatters learned the property was vacant.
You didn't sign any lease with them.
No, and they had it on their phone, so she didn't even have like a actual lease
document.
Yeah, it was clearly like fake.
So later on in the clip, the police told this man that there was nothing they could do and they could not remove the squatter, and that it was a civil matter that had to be handled between him and the folks who took over his property. The reporter even approached the squatters and asked them why they're there and what they're doing, and they didn't really say much. But Georgia did come up with a solution. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So we always talk about generational wealth. We always talk about passing things forward to the next generation. And here we have a woman we spoke about in New York City, and the value of the home her parents left her is at least $1 million. So these squatters are delaying that wealth transfer. And in New York City, that process could take months. And honestly, it could even take longer. I don't want you to have that experience. And then in Georgia, we have a man who rehabbed a home that his father left to him. He was going to rent it out to those who are on government assistance. So these squatters are not only robbing him of rental income, they're also robbing a family of having clean and safe housing. It's just not okay. The crazy thing is, though, this is not just hurting the average everyday person. LeBron James has a property in Beverly Hills that he's building, and there are squatters in the neighborhood where he's going to live. And so they've added 24/7 security to the construction site. So as you can see, it's impacting everybody. There was even a man on TikTok teaching other people how to become squatters.
He pensado invadir una casa en United States, ya que me enteré que existe una ley que dice que si una casa no está habitada, podemos expropiarla.
One thing I want to make clear, when he said he found a law, what he was talking about is adverse possession. Adverse possession is a legal principle that allows a person who possesses someone else's land for an extended period of time to claim legal title to that land. So in New York, someone can legally claim a neglected property after 10 years of living there and paying the property taxes. In California, someone can legally claim a property after living there and paying the property taxes for 7 years. And then in Florida, someone can legally claim a property after paying the property taxes and living there for only 5 years. That is crazy. The good thing is there are finally states that are putting laws in place to take power out of the squatters' hands and put them back into the hands of the homeowners. The first state is Florida. Let's see what DeSantis has to say about that.
We are in the state of Florida ending the squatter scam once and for all.
Governor Ron DeSantis announced Wednesday he's cracking down on squatters.
All right, so here we go.
He signed House Bill 621, which will increase penalties for squatters and provide property owners swift remedies for squatting. Owners can request law enforcement immediately remove a squatter if the person has unlawfully entered, has been told to leave the property by the owner but refused, and if that person isn't a current or former tenant in a legal dispute.
So what I like about this is that you can get the person out right away. There's no reason for anybody to be able to stay inside of a property unlawfully for even 5 minutes. They should go right away. So I think this is great. He did an excellent job with this. I really wonder why some of these folks who do this and take over properties that are not theirs, I wonder why they don't think about the fact that they wouldn't want somebody to do that to them. Maybe it's just me. So Georgia's also making some progress in this area.
In my opinion, squatters are criminals. They're trespassing on someone's private property. And, right now they're being treated like they're tenants of that property.
Representative Devin Seaball sponsored with others the Georgia Squatter Reform Act. It passed unanimously this week in the Georgia legislature. He says if the squatters show a lease, real or not, the case gets gummed up in Superior Court.
And the process to remove them is long and arduous and could take, it's taken 8 months up to 2 years.
His bill speeds up the process.
What we've done in this bill is we've changed the jurisdiction to magistrate court, a non-jury trial, to expedite that. If they present a lease, they have 3 days to present that lease to the court. The court has 7 days to make a determination if that's a good lease or a fake lease.
So what I don't like is the fact that this could even reach court and that it could take up to 10 days. I believe they should revise this to reflect what Florida is doing so the person has to leave immediately. It shouldn't even last 1 day. It shouldn't even last 1 hour. It shouldn't even last 5 minutes. As soon as they're notified that a squatter's in somebody's residence, they should be out of there right away, period. Obviously, we have a lot more states to go to pass laws to remove squatter rights. What do you think should be the next state? Now it's time to talk about exactly what you should do to prevent squatters from taking over your property or the property of anybody who you know. If you have a property that's vacant for whatever reason, I recommend getting cameras set up at the entrances, at the exits. You might even want to get cameras set up at the windows. You can use a company like Simply Safe Safe, and there's many other companies that can provide this and also give you remote access so you can observe what's going on. If you want to take it a step further, you can hire virtual assistants that you can pay to look at the property 24/7. So you can have them going in shifts and just on their computers looking at the property and making sure that nobody is coming in who should not be coming in, and that they can alert the authorities right away if somebody's breaking into the property. You have to protect yourself. Doesn't matter how much it costs. It's worth it. I have a vacancy coming up in about 60 days, and this is exactly what I plan on doing. You should also find a good lawyer. Not only can a lawyer help you develop a strong lease for when you do have tenants, but they can also make sure that you understand the local laws. And if you're in a tough situation, they can help you get out of it. I recommend understanding the local laws before you buy a property, whether it's something local, whether it's something out of state. You have to make sure you have a strong understanding of the laws and your rights before you buy a property. The last thing I recommend is digital locks that you can access remotely, that you can change the passwords remotely from your phone or from your laptop. That is something I recommend, and it'll also help you to secure that property. You can find those things on Amazon, Lowe's, Home Depot, places like that. So now that you know about the squatter crisis and how to protect yourself from squatters, I want you to learn about how you can buy a property for $1 today. Check out this video right here.